So I am out here loosening the cover. The rain put me up yesterday. I got to loosen the cover and take off these bolts. This is a 10 millimeter and all these are 8 millimeter. And I'm going to take this whole cover off, and that'll give me access to see these transmission coolant lines. One of them was rubbing against the turbo and is leaking, so I'm going to take them off. And as you can see, this is how it comes from a manufacturer. Like, this clip comes on and all of that. It's a pain in the butt to get these clips off, but you can get them off with a needle nose plier, and sometimes it's difficult to get them back in the exact position. But I'm gonna put them back in this position. I got this a little high, but I'm gonna put them back, these two up here in these positions. But I'm gonna try something different. I know one guy, he loosened his motor mount, he took all this wheel well off, he loosened a lot of stuff from the engine and jacked the whole engine up just to get the wires back in position. But when you need to replace them again, you had to go through too much. So I had them tied here with zip ties, and that was holding it. When I found that they were rubbing, that held it for a while. But the place where I tied it in zip ties, I tied them in the same spot where the hose was already weak. Maybe if I would have tied it in a different spot, it wouldn't have continued to wear down. But you can use zip ties, large, extra large zip ties, and just come around this whole frame here and kind of tie them down. But what blocks them from coming in and being set up as how the dealer, when I buy the new set of wires, I'll show you what you can't get it past where this turbo is in here. That's the actuator for the turbo, and it's right just a little bit, about 2 or 3 inches. If it were up just 2 or 3 inches, you could get the whole wires in and set them back up just how they came from the manufacturer. But because of that actuator right there, the wires won't pass down. They go down, but so you have to separate them from each other and pass one at a time. Then once you get them down there, then now you're trying to put the bracket on with them up under here, and it can be a pain in the butt. But you can use zip ties too, and that's what I'm going to do when I come back up. I'm going to put these, because if they continuously rub each other, they can rub each other as well and wear out. So these little bushings are in here, so I'm going to use these bushings. But the metal brackets, I think I'm going to get rid of those. It makes it difficult to move them around. I'm going to use the bushings and use zip ties. And like I said, you can get different type of zip ties. You can get small zip ties like these, and this is what I'm going to use for these small portions. You can get medium size, extra large size. But I'll show you what I'm going to do. Okay, so I've got the wheel cover off, and this is what I was telling you. These are the coolant lines. The transmission has its own radiator as well. I guess because it's such a heavy transmission. So in addition to the cooling system of the truck, which is here, coolant reservoir, and it has a radiator which is behind the transmission. The radiator which is behind the radiator, the intercooler for the transmission. That's on the front where this pipe is going to. This top hose right here goes to the top of that cooler, and this is it sends it out of the transmission. And this bottom hole, this is the return line. It takes it back, so it comes out, it comes here, it goes through to cool it off, and it sends it back down to the transmission cooler. That's how they designed it, to keep it cooler. So what's happening is these wires, they come like this. These holes, you can move these holes around a bit, you can flex those. But the brackets, when I go pick up the new lines, you're gonna see the brackets that are attached on here, right? What is this? Oh, that's just wire. So the brackets are attached on here, so you can't just slide this up under here where this spring is. This is all metal, right? So you can't just slide it back into position here. They've designed it to be bolted on here on this frame. There's a bolt hole right here where my hand is, where they've designed the wires to be bolted here, but it's hard to get them back down there past this actuator. This is the actuator right here. So essentially what you have to do is, I saw one guy, he loosened his whole motor and all of that. You know, I don't want to be loosening no motor. Everything's working good. If it ain't broke, I ain't messing with nothing, right? So I ain't gonna mess with nothing, because sometimes you can not, you just can create other problems for yourself, going above and beyond to try to put stuff exactly right when it comes to these coolant lines. So for me, I'm going to get the new lines, and I'm going to take them apart just like I did these ones, and I'm going to use that bush in there. I'm going to try to do a better job this time. I didn't pay attention last time. Once I got it down there, I didn't pay attention that it was rubbing on the turbo. The coolant line was rubbing on the bottom of this turbo here. See where this line is? So all I've got to do, once I get them through here this time, I'm going to keep these See how I've got the bush in there? And I don't even have a zip tie on that one. I have one on this one. And this is where the leak is coming from. I shouldn't have put it in that spot where the line was rubbing. But I'm gonna put these bushings back here, take the brackets off, and I'm just gonna use a zip tie to hold them to this frame here. And then that way they won't be touching each other, and they also won't be touching the hot turbo, right? So I'll just have to make sure that they're not touching anything. Yep. Oh, and I forgot to explain this. These coolant hoses, they have the same connect as the bypass down there that I showed you. You just slide this back and you take this needle nose and you can remove the little pin. It might be easy to do it from up front. Last time I took out this box right here, the vacuum box, and then I had more access to this line right here. But I believe I could get this right from this spot, and then I won't have to do all of that. And I'll get me like a little plastic water bottle, empty water bottle, because there's going to be coolant that spills, fluid that spills right here, and I could just put the water bottle over this and let it stay in this spot. Yep. Okay, so when I was up under that loosening that hose, I told you I was going to get it from the bottom. That retaining clip, I would have to do it blindly, and I don't want to accidentally drop that little small metal clip down in there, because I reuse those. So it's nothing for me to just come up here and loosen the vacuum box that I said I wasn't going to loosen. I loosen the top cover first. I unplug these two hoses, these two connectors for it, right here from the wiring harness. And then I remove the top lid. This is the engine air filter. I'm going to replace this, my next oil change. I replace mine every other oil change, so you see it's not even that dirty. I don't really let it get dirty. I try to clean out the box. So this is how the engine breathes. So anyway, what I'm going to do is, and this is the vacuum that leads down into the turbo. And you want to keep this clean, then your turbo lasts you a long time, right? And then when something goes bad on the vehicle, you just replace it and you keep going. Something else goes bad, you replace it, you keep going. That's how you build equity in your vehicle. You know, nothing lasts forever, but what are you doing when stuff do go bad, when it breaks down? You just replace it. Or if you're going to go onto a new one, that vehicle is still valuable to you, because now and days you can, you go, like my old car, I drive a 2000, one of my cars is a 2010. That car doesn't give me any problems. It's paid for. I need to change the brakes on it. But, some of these companies that buy cars and stuff, they want to offer me, $200 for my car. The devil is a liar. The car runs good, in perfect shape. I can get in and drive to any state in America that I want to. I get 33 miles per gallon on the highway. I get about 28 in the city, and air, heat, everything works. You think I'm gonna sell that for $200? The devil is a liar. No, paid for, and it's old, so everything keeps going down. The taxes keep going down, the insurance keep going down. No, I'm not selling it, and definitely not for that. But if it were, let's just say it had a major problem and I couldn't use it anymore, it still would be valuable, much more than people will offer you for your car, because you get some people, they're looking for a radio. You can pull if you know how to pull the parts out of your car, just break it down yourself. Take everything apart and sell everything on it. You sit on you a couple $1,000s. You can go buy another one. Everything is valuable. Everything has value. So anyway, I took these bolts out. These are 13mm bolts. One was here, one was there. So when I like to do, so I don't lose bolts and stuff, once I remove this all the way out of the way, then I'm going to put the bolts back in it so I don't forget where they're at. Listen, I made a quick mistake in what I told you about the bolts. So I took the 13mm out of here, and I was talking, I took the 13mm out of here, but this is not for this vacuum. This only has this one 13mm here, and the bottom pieces, they're fastened in to the battery bracket. That's what's holding the bottom. You can just pop them up. I'm going to go on the bottom and push it up, but this goes to the battery. The battery casing that holds the battery. So that's my bad. But yeah, this only has this one bolt right here. So, and up under here, you can see this is the vacuum box that I just loosened. So I just have to, right here is the heaviest place that is holding it is tight. It's loose right here. I just have to push that through there. There we go. Now it's out. And get up here and just get this, work this out of my way. Wait a minute, let me put the phone down. And I forgot about this plug right here on the side. Last time I took this out, I put it back in and the plug was hanging, and I got all kind of codes. And I was like, what? Vacuum codes. So that plug needs to be unplugged too. And you just got to press it in and pull it out, and I need to put the phone down. But that's pretty much it. See, that's going to leak. It's going to continuously leak. All you do is once you take the pin out, and I still lost my little pin, but the new ones will come with a pin. I don't like to lose my little pin. But you see it still leaks a little bit, but not a lot. Just put a little plastic bottle there. And then I'm going to wait before I take the top one out. But you just do the same thing with the top one. Try to clean up the transmission fluid because it can be very corrosive. But this top one, you just pop it out the same way. And again, like I said, this might not leak as much because this hose, when it comes out, it'll leak from the hose just a little bit. But most of the fluid is down anyway because it sends the fluid up here. So most of the fluid is already down. But yeah, I could go ahead and take this out. Go ahead and take this out. But yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I try to have less mess as possible. And then you have more space when you got that vacuuming thing out of the way. Right? I pull the top one out. That's my retaining pin right there. That's what locks these in once you slide them in, pop them in through these little entries right there. And that's it. This only leaked a little bit. And that's it. No more leaking. Yeah. This intercooler, not intercooler, this radiator, transmission radiator, keeps the coolant clean. This is the main radiator for the regular, and that's the AC compressor. This is the transmission radiator, which sends the fluid in here, goes down to the bottom, sends it through this intercooler right here. And I just replaced this intercooler last year. Sends it through this intercooler, comes all the way out here, right here. And that's where you still see the fluid is leaking. Yep. So that's pretty much it. Now I'm gonna just push these hoses down. Push these hoses down in there. Let me get my connectors out of the way so I don't get any fluid on that. Gotta still worry about a little fluid coming out when you got these old hoses. But yeah, here's the bottom one. I'll get down there and start loosening those, and I'll just slide them out, and that's pretty much bada bing, bada bang. Okay, I got them down. This is the easy part. What I'm praying for is a whole nother way that God will give me an idea of a whole nother way. So I've got this one down here. This one right here. And I'm praying for when I get the new ones. I had to take that bracket off that holds them together on this little where they go in right here, and it nails right there because they got to go in right there. So I'm praying for a new idea of way of running it to make it easier for myself. And I may put one in at a time and just pin that up. I'm definitely gonna separate them, and I may run one up here, and then I'll see how it goes once I get it together. Closer I can keep it away from this turbo, the better. But we'll see how it works. I'm definitely gonna separate all of them, and I've got this screw what ties it in here. I'm just gonna leave that screw down in there, but I don't think I'm gonna reuse it. We'll see once I get the new one. Let me get this one out of the way too. I gotta use both hands because I gotta use a piece of paper. I don't want to drop any fluid on the actuator when I pass by the actuator right here. This is the easy part. The difficult part, like I said, when I get the new ones, they all have these brackets, and these bummers they have them all up, but I think 3 or 4 places they're kind of tough to come off. And I kind of just use this and I bend them back, and I bend them back. I bend the little latches right here, the little metal latches. I bend them back and put them on, and we'll see how it's gonna go. So this is what I wanted to show you. This is the new lines, the new hose. This is how they come. But you see the little brackets, they come affixed. In order to get them back in the exactly how the manufacturer had them set up and bolt them back on, you'd have to lift the motor and all that crap. So what I'd have to do is loosen each one of these pieces here, and I'll keep these rubber bushings and I'll put a zip tie around them once I get them back in. But that's what I'm gonna have to do to even get them up under there in the right position. If I find a new position, I'll share. This hose torn apart, not torn apart, but I've got these brackets off here, and I've got one hose right here, the one brand new hose back in place. See it right there? I've already got it in place, but I haven't bolted down yet. I want to get the other one in here so I can figure out the best place to put it and not have it be rubbing anything. See it right there? That's the hose. Definitely don't want it rubbing on that turbo again. No, baby. I don't want it nowhere next to that turbo. So if I gotta push it up some, I'll push it up this way some. You know, I can slide it up like that, and I'll see how I'm gonna get it. But let me get the other one in here, and then I'll have a better way to gauge it. So I want to show you something as I'm out here just taking my time with the hoses. I guess since I just only have the hoses to replace, it seems simple because I'm not using zip ties. It seems like I'm able to get to the bracket. I don't know, first time when I replaced these hoses, I was changing the transmission and everything seemed really hard, really difficult. But if you can see that, I've got the little bushing so the hoses won't rub each other there. And these gnats are in my face. And yeah, I've got the bushings, and where this hose right here is supposed to bolt here, looks like I can just bolt it there. Oh, these gnats are crazy. So I've got a bolt. I don't know what happened to the bolt that originally came in there. Obviously it got misplaced. So I'm gonna put some anti-seize on this, and this is the anti-seize I'm gonna use, and I'm just gonna put a little bit on that bolt so it doesn't corrode in that spot, and I'm gonna put the bolt in and fasten it. So yeah, separate the wires and you can get them back in the normal spot, whether you use zip ties or the original way. Got the lines installed, but I want to show you something. If you can't get these brackets fastened, see these metal brackets, see the fastener that's supposed to fasten, it's difficult to fasten those back over, and sometimes they will break also. But it's particularly this one. Even without this metal fastener, these lines are not going anywhere because they're installed to the bypass, which is connected to the transmission, right? However, if you still want to just put this bracket back in place, if you want to bolt that bracket back in place, you can bolt it back in place, and you can put the bracket back on it with the rubber bushing between here. And if you can't get it fastened, just use zip ties. Look at that. Yep, just use zip ties. Just put your 2 little small mini zip ties on, and it'll hold it. Yep. And just like going all the way up the hose as well. If you want to use zip ties on the little rubber bushing places that require the little rubber bushings, you can do that too. This is Ram 3500 if you're installing the coolant lines. On the transmission coolant lines, these are all the little brackets. You are going to have to separate those coolant lines to get them back in place without having to jack the motor up and go through all of that extra stuff. All you've got to do is take these brackets off. You may not be able to get them back on or back in the exact spot, but take the brackets off. Remove the, I'm just going over everything. Take the brackets off the lines, remove the fender cover, remove your tire, have more space, and you get the bracket. Look at the lines back in place. Now you can never get these back in place attached how they come from the manufacturer. You can't do that. So this is it. Hope that helps somebody. So what I'm gonna do now, I have checked my transmission fluid. It's showing at the normal level, but at the same time I know I poured out at least a gallon. Not really poured out a gallon, but I leaked a bit. It was maybe a half a gallon, but still, and I got it jacked up, so I don't think it's accurate. But I just checked the stick anyway, and it's showing where it normally shows normal. So I am going to jack this bad boy, crank this bad boy up, let it run, and make sure that I have no leaks coming from where I installed the line. And then once I have no leaks, I'm going to take it for a drive, let it get really, really hot to normal operating temperatures, and then I'm going to come back, do a check the fluid again, top it off where it needs to be topped off, and also do a transmission relearn. Just because I've changed the level of fluid, let it relearn the amount of fluid that it needs between gears. So let's check it to make sure it has no leaks. I've got it running. Don't have any issues with the gap that I replaced yesterday. This is still kind of wet from all the fluid that I wasted on it. Remember I replaced the coolant reservoir? That's still doing pretty good. No issues with that up there. So now what I'm going to do is going to put this tire on. We're going to let it continue to run. I'm going to put the tire on, put the wheel well back on, and then going to roll it down. Temperature should be hotter, and then I'll, take it for a test drive, and then come back. If everything checks out okay, then I will come back and do a transmission relearn and take it for another drive. Transmission at operating temperature. There are no leaks. Success. So I'll show you how to do a trans relearn. Now some people won't do a trans relearn because it didn't go inside the transmission. But I figure nothing helps. It doesn't hurt anything to do it, It just helps the transmission. Okay, so I am doing a system scan. I went for a drive, and on the drive, it did well. I checked for leaks. I showed you there's no leaks. So after the drive, get the temperature up to get it up to operating temperature. It got up to operating temperature. So then I came. No, what do I want to say? After I got it up to operating temperature, I came back and checked again for leaks. There were no more leaks. I checked the fluid level. The fluid was definitely low this time because obviously it's already circulating through the transmission. So the fluid was low. I added fluid back. It took 3.5 quarts. So actually that's what it lost, 3.5 quarts. And now fluid is back at proper location. Now we're going to do the transmission relearn. So I did a scan. There are no codes. There are no pending codes. There are no stored codes. Everything is doing well. The def pump is doing well. The yeah, everything is doing well from the def pump I installed the other day. And then the transmission is shifting well and everything. So now I'm going to come here and do a quick learn. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to say OK. Engine must be running. Brake pedal must be depressed. And the parking brake set during the entire quick learn procedure. So let me turn the engine on. As you see, there's still no codes. The parking brake is set. My foot is now on the brakes. So let me hit OK. I've hit OK. Move shift lever to overdrive. Move shift lever to neutral. Quick learn procedures and start sequence signal. Move shift lever to overdrive. Quick learn procedures in progress. Quick learn procedure complete. Move shift lever to park. And that is it, people. That's $140 at your nearest dealership, minimum. So that's it. Fluid level's good. Now we're going to go drive again. All right, I have installed transmission lines.